Victor says, what's your take on Sony skipping E3? I'll tell you my goddamn take on Sony skipping E3. If you're a gamer and your only interest in this topic is what is good for you, I get it. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. You enjoy E3. You enjoy the press conferences. You enjoy all the media attention. You enjoy all the news coming out. If you're lucky enough that you get to go to E3, you get to play some games, although the lines have become atrocious. As a gamer, I absolutely get why you would say this is bad. But from the business standpoint and the industry standpoint, it doesn't make one bit of difference. In fact, that's not true. Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, all these motherfuckers are better off not going to E3. They're better off not going to Comic-Con. If Sony was smart, they would take a tiny fraction of the multi-millions they spend on these shows, and they would say, we're going to have PlayStation, radio doesn't make sense, but it works for my old man's brain. PlayStation Radio. 24/7 streaming of their exclusive channel. They hire VJs. I know they're streamers, but they basically hire some good-looking, young, articulate people that run 4 hours at a time. They're always on. They're always in the gamers' heads, playing new games, doing interviews, doing information drops, having a beautiful setup in San Mateo where they stream from, doing remote shit all over the country with developers. And that is the new PSX. That is the new E3. You can take half of what they spend on E3 and make a couple of small games that are exclusive to PlayStation Now. You never know when you're going to hit the next Hearthstone or Slay the Spire or Towerfall. That's going to pay off a lot more than going to E3. So I understand that you may be like, damn it, I really liked E3. I understand that. I respect that you liked E3. I liked E3 too when it wasn't unmanageable. But if you ran Sony, if you were in, you wouldn't do it either. What'd you think of PSX? I liked it. It was fun. It was a fun show, but ultimately it was a useless show. It was a great time. It was wonderfully run. It was a lot of fun. The fans that showed up loved it. I was there for the first 2 or 3 years. I loved interfacing with the fans. That was amazing. I got to see Corey interface with the fans, Neil Druckmann, meaning the guys that are sort of currently top of the food chain. You could tell the fans just ate it up. It was wonderful. But ultimately, it was pointless. It did nothing to move the needle. It's kind of like Disney has this show D23. It's nice. You think Avengers Endgame wouldn't have opened what they did because that? If they didn't have D23? No, of course not. It's why Comic-Con ultimately is on a trajectory to shrink and shrink and shrink. Because movie studios and TV studios, everyone's starting to realize, as fun as this is, it doesn't really move the needle. To fly everybody down, to build the big booths, all that shit. And I think it's kind of good because the conventions, I have a theory, or I have a prediction that these conventions are going to slowly start to constrict back to what they always were, which were these more manageable, fan-run, grassroots conventions where you really can engage with creators you like, where you can engage with other fans, where it's more specialized in terms of what the conventions are about. But I just don't see any value in these things coming from the big corporations anymore. Everything's going to be online, Cool Cat. That's right. That'd be great. If Sony did a virtual PSX, it would be wonderful. Make it like PlayStation Home, walk around cool environments, play demos, go into rooms and have Q&A with game creators and celebrities and shit would be wonderful. So Excited says, I thought PSX was mainly for fans. It is. But ultimately, you come to a point where you say, is there a better way we can serve our audience? Is there a better way we can serve our fans? And that ain't it. Somebody's asking me to spitball what I think Sony spends on E3. I really don't know. It's certainly in the multi-millions. Is it 10 million? Is it 6? I couldn't tell you. I was at Sony for on and off for 20 years. I still could. I never bothered to ask, actually. In my opinion, only Nintendo can pull off the directs. No other company has a Reggie. Yeah, Sober, that's what I'm saying. Spend the fucking money and hire those people. I'm not saying Ninja. Ninja doesn't fit the PlayStation brand at all, okay? He's just, a lot of core gamers probably don't like the guy, okay? But if you go out and you spend your money and you hire 3 or 4 or 5 people that are the face of PlayStation and they're good looking, they're articulate, they're good on camera, they're streaming 4 hours a day. I mean, seriously, man, I'm telling you, this is the vision I have. If Sony hired me back and they said, Jaffe, what do you want to do? I would not say I want to direct a new game. I would say I want to head up PlayStation streaming services. I want to create a 24/7, always on streaming channel on Twitch or wherever they want to have it, with unique talent, with amazing opportunities for fans to engage with the games. It would be wonderful. And that reaches the entire world 24/7. But I would love to have a trade show that celebrates gaming as a whole with the fans. I understand. You're not wrong. If you're coming at it from a game fan position, there's nothing you're saying that's wrong. No game fan worth their salt wants to see E3 as it was go away. There is no reason in the world a game fan should be happy that E3 is collapsing. But you can look at it from your position of what you want personally, and still what a lot of gamers online seem to have a hard time doing is going, okay, that's my gamer hat. But if you worked at Sony, only a fool would be saying stay at E3. Even a fool would be saying do PSX. The thing about this, they even came out and said, look, we're going to be going around and doing community events all over to show off games on PS4 and PS5. What do you think's better, spending that money and buying an extra 2 PlayStation trucks to go or 5 and go all over the world? And stopping in towns everywhere to let people play PS5, get little codes for when the thing comes out, giveaways for PS4 games, or having one show that only 0.5% of their audience can get to. So I get it from a fan standpoint, but if you worked at Sony, you'd be laughed out of a boardroom unless you had some data that explain why these shows could keep going. The goodwill they build for PR is still only building a small slice if they're going to use that money to build PR in a way that affects more people. That's all I'm saying.